All right, Nick, welcome to the Golf Coach Podcast, mate. How you going?
Yeah, good, mate. Thanks for having me.
Mate, no worries. Thanks for coming on, mate. And as I was telling you before, I'm a bit of a nerd, and my friend Carrot always gives me a hard time because I can talk about someone, Nick Flanagan, I'll rattle off his 4 wins, or I'll talk about Steve Elkington and what happened there in his PGA Championship when I bump into him. So I'm a bit of a nerd, so it's really good to kind of catch up and have you on the podcast and talk about your playing career and transitioning into coaching. And yeah, it's awesome, man. So what's been going on anyway, mate? Where are you living?
So we're back in Newcastle now. We just moved back here January of last year
Yes.
from Texas. So I've
Yes.
been over there for the better half of, 17 and a half years I lived in the US. Kind of a little bit of everywhere over there. But
Yeah.
when I met my now wife, she's from Texas. So we moved back there from Florida, where I was in Jacksonville for about 5 or 6 years before that.
Yeah.
We had a good crew of guys out there that I practiced and played with. And then, yeah, we moved back to San Antonio to get closer to her family. And then we ended up back here last year. So
Ha-
it's nice to be back kind of where I grew up. I'm living literally the suburb next to where I grew up. So
It's wild,
good.
man. It happens, man. I've lived everywhere around the world, and I'm living 15-minute drive from my own house when I grew up as a kid. Tell
It's
me,
funny, you can't wait to get out and then you end up
I know.
can't wait to get back.
It's weird, it's weird. I say, like, the best thing I did was move away from home, and the best thing I did was move back towards home.
Yeah.
Hey, how did you get her out of Texas into Australia? How'd that happen?
How did we end up
How
deciding
did
to
you,
move
how did
home?
you get your wife back to Australia? Or how did you get her from Texas to Australia? It's an unusual way to get the American girl back to Australia.
Yeah, I mean, she loves it here. I think a lot of it, we had kids during COVID, so we had 2 kids in COVID in 2020 and 2021.
Yeah.
Me knowing how good a country this is to grow up in, all the
Yeah.
things you can do back here, living by the ocean, living by the lake. We got the lake on one side, ocean on the other side. Good schools. Just for me, it felt like a better place to bring up kids, essentially. No knock on the US, obviously.
Yeah.
But me being from here was a big catalyst for it. And my wife was, she'd been over here quite a few times before
okay.
that, and she loved it. And when my career kind of started moving less out of playing golf and more into coaching, the opportunity came up back here at Belmont, where I grew up, to come back and work with Graham Stockley there at Belmont, who I grew up. He caddied for me when I first turned pro,
Oh, wow. That's wild.
and he's been at Belmont now for 20, better part of almost 30 years now.
Incredible.
So yeah, he said if that's the route you wanted to go, that there'd be a spot there for me. So I'm kind of working through that now, and yeah, it's full circle. Back teaching on the range that I grew up hitting 10,000 balls on. So it's pretty cool.
amazing. It's got a completely different perspective, I'm sure, as well, when hitting balls now. Like, it's pretty cool up in Newcastle way. Like, I feel like pros hold their tenure for a long time. Like, it's pretty common, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean still a country town. It's
Yeah.
definitely a little bit bigger than it was when I left, but we have a lot of really good golfers come out of Newcastle for a small area that isn't, a major metropolitan area.
Yeah.
I think the golf courses are pretty solid. There's a good variety of it, a lot of competition. Facilities are a lot better now. Belmont always had great facilities with the range. We were kind of one of the few places that had like a nice full range where you could just pelt drivers or hit wedge shots.
Yeah.
Back when I first started, it was hit your own balls, go out and pick them up,
Yeah.
and bring them back. Now it's a fully automated public range with TrackMan and all that kind of stuff too, which is pretty cool.
I've gone into
yeah.
that a bit, Nick, about like thinking about the days, right, when we used to have to shag our own balls, right? So pick them back up after you hit them. And that's very common. I grew up in a country town too. And I've thought about the difference around that from the quality of practice. I get a little bit deep with my thinking, right? But the quality of practice from people that just got these range balls coming in, and just
know where
whacking
you're
them
going.
away versus, having to go pick them up after. And then that time you have in between picking them up and that thinking and that processing and looking at where all the balls are finished. Yeah, I feel like it's a lot different. Have you ever thought about that before?
I talk about it quite often, especially
Really?
with the way the range is now. Like when we were kids, like there was certain sections of the range, like remember the left side was about a 9 iron to a little bit of a mound that kind of sat back at you.
Yeah.
So I'd go to the left side of the range and I practiced that one quite a lot, that yardage, because I could see the ball land and I tried to group all the balls really close
Mm,
so that I
mm,
didn't have to essentially run around the whole range picking up golf balls. So I was always trying to, if
yeah.
I hit 9 irons, I'd be trying to hit 9 irons into a little
Yeah.
dispersion,
Yeah.
really small. I'd start with my wedges, try and get them all together, then maybe move, 20 yards to the right with a 7 iron, try and hit them all at the 150 peg, have them all close together.
Yeah.
Whereas when you don't have to go and pick them up, a lot of the times you kind of lose, your
Mm,
direction. You just smack it here, you smack it there.
yeah.
But, once those clubs get longer and you're hitting 5 irons, you're really trying to make sure that you're aiming at the same target over and over and over again,
Interesting.
not just kind of pointing and shooting.
Yes, and you're also as well like you're mindful of your own golf balls out there because you don't know someone else taking your balls and
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
I
there's a lot of that too.
and I also think that it's a lot closer to golf than pounding balls with screens all around you. Like it's a little bit closer to playing golf than, don't get me wrong, like I like teaching simulators all the time. I go at all the tech that you can imagine. But yeah, it's definitely something in there that kind of sits in the heart a little bit differently, hitting balls out there by yourself. With the Discman maybe back in the day, right? Making sure that it wasn't skipping. So
Oh yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I was like, we were lucky enough I could drive back in the day before they had all the fences and stuff up, like really old school, like a paddock. But I used to drive my car up next to it when
yeah,
I eventually got my license and just wind the window down, hop out, turn the radio on, and just hit balls right next to my car because it was never that crazy busy.
yeah.
But yeah, you kind of had the place to yourself a lot of the time, which is pretty cool.
That is cool. Yeah, I love it, man. I love it. I was even talking the day before we get into some cool stuff, but talking about, I was talking with one of the parents. I teach this elite group of kids, right? And there is requirements for them to practice during the week and all this stuff that I set boundaries for them. And I was saying about, we give these opportunities for these kids. They've got, unlimited balls, come do what you want, and they're still sometimes not fronting up. And I said, mate, I turned pro and I used to have to practice on a field, right? On a hockey field or like a soccer field, hockey field / thing. And I had to hide in the corner with my shag bag of balls because the ranger would come chase me and run because the council guy didn't want me hitting balls on there because I make divots.
Yeah.
So I had to literally run from authorities to get better at the
Yeah.
game of golf, right? Like I would literally it'd get dark and I'd go hit balls because I knew that they wouldn't be there coming in. I knew they
Yeah.
wouldn't be coming around at dark time. Like I knew when the council rangers worked. Like, and these days I'm giving kids 500 balls a day if you want, and they're not showing up. So it's definitely something I've been thinking about and churning around a lot about that golf ball and that, hitting balls out of a shag bag because, even Alex Buckner, a friend of mine, he said some of the advice he got told, when coaching some elite players, and someone said to him, he was talking about the quality of practice, and someone was saying that they go to the range and practice for 10 hours a day and I hit balls and I'm not getting better. And what was suggested to him that you get 100 balls for the day and that's all you're allowed to hit. You know what I mean? Like you're not allowed to hit any more than those 100 balls. And all of a sudden the quality of practice and the time it takes to hit those 100 balls takes a lot longer because you're just so making sure that you're not going to F up some shots, right?
Well, yeah, and I think a lot. Like I teach a bunch of teenagers on a Thursday afternoon at 4 o'clock, and they same thing. They get a bucket of golf balls. They can't wait to just get up there and start smashing them. You got to kind of calm them down and case wedges first. We're going to chip a few out there, then we're going to do this, then we're going to do that. If they had to go out and pick up their own balls, it would probably change a little bit because they wouldn't be just, okay, I've hit that one over on that fence, hit that one over on that fence, that one's gone 200 yards up there. It'd be a little bit more, okay, let's see how close we can get our balls so I don't have to go and run around. But
I love it.
I don't know.
I love it. No, I love it. I think about that stuff too. I'm a bit too much of a deep thinker, right? So tell me, Nick, junior career, right? Before we talk about your playing career, which I'm excited to learn about. What? Are you at the same age as Jason Day? Tell me about the differences in ages there. Are you guys close in age?
I want to say Jason's probably 4 or 5 years younger than me.
Is he? Yeah.
Yeah, I reckon I was 20. I reckon I was about 23 that year. When did it, was it 20? So 07, he graduated and I graduated. I was born 80, so I was 23. I reckon he was still a teenager, so it's got to be 4 years at
Okay.
least.
So
I'd imagine.
what year were you born?
84.
Oh, 84. Oh, okay, great. Yeah, because I'm the same. I think JD and I are about the same age. I remember.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, we're both on the TV show The Cut. And yeah, and when I watched the old tapes, there's an old TV show here in Australia called The Cut. Do you remember it?
The Cut. No, I don't remember that one.
Oh, they kind of selected people around and you had to nominate, and then they put you, the winners of it get to go play the Australian Open in the first group. Like you go out before the first group of the Australian Open, and Jason Day won it with someone else. I saw him the other day. I can't remember his name, but anyways, he was on that there, and they spoke glowingly of him and not of me. That's for sure. All right, and I just didn't know about that. I didn't know about that. So tell me, you had obviously a fantastic junior career. When did you go to the US? Did that happen? Were you living in the US when you won the US Amateur, or were you living in Australia then went over there? What was that transition?
No, so the first time I went over there was '02. I finished, I lost in a playoff in the Aussie Junior, and then they extended an invite to an event in Scottsdale called the Thunderbird Junior, which I think used to happen quite a lot. Like there was a few years where if you finished first or runner-up, you would get an invite into this US Junior event.
Okay.
So I went over there in '02 and played that. That was the only time I'd been there previous. And then 2003, I did the summer kind of trip where you played all those major amateur events, the Western, the Porter Cup, Northeast Am, like all those ones with a few of the other boys. Luke Hickbott, Ben Bunny were the two guys I kind of travelled with the most, two Victorians.
Yep.
James Nitties was over there, like that kind of era. Yep. So we played, I want to say it was about 2.5 months, probably 8 to 10 events.
Yep.
And then we tried it right at the end of it was a qualifier for the USAM, which we all went to up in, I believe it was Cincinnati. And Ben and myself qualified. We got 2 of the 3 spots at our qualifier.
What? That's wild.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden we're there for another 2 weeks before the USAM starts. And we were already knackered. I think, can't speak for him, but I was ready to go home. I was done. I was just homesick, just tired, just ready to go. I had already had 1 win in the summer, so I played well. I felt like I did kind of what I wanted to do over there. And then, getting into that, obviously you're going to stay and play in it.
Of course.
And at the time I knew very little about, big events. I wasn't a very big historian of golf at that point because it had all happened quite quick.
Yep.
Showed up at Oakmont and that place is brutal.
So tell me, so it's like, tell the listeners, right? So how many rounds is it before the match play?
2 rounds of stroke play.
Yes.
So you play 2 different courses in the stroke play. So you play 2 practice rounds at least. Yeah. And then 2 rounds of stroke, and then straight away, day after the stroke finishes, you get into the match play if you qualify. And
where did you finish after the 2 rounds of stroke?
I made the match play on the number and got through in a playoff. I think it was 14 guys for 11 spots in the playoff.
So you've just gone on a heater. So you've taken the last spot. So then you played the first seed.
So I got through on the first playoff hole. So I think my seed was like mid-50s or something like that.
Okay.
So, I played, was it 8 or 9? I don't know off the top of my head, but yeah, obviously somebody who was playing well. And I was playing well, but I was just so gassed that, anything was, a bonus from there. And the match play definitely helped because, match play, you can be more aggressive and, not every hole counts. You can throw in a few bad ones here and there and still get away with it. So that was a big hand. Big hand for me going into the match play.
So when you got into the match plays and you just kept winning and winning, I'm not too sure how many rounds it is before the final. How many rounds is it?
So 64, 32, 16, 8, 4, 2. So 6 rounds.
Unbelievable. The heating
Yeah,
you've
6 rounds
gone on.
in 5 days.
You're joking.
Yeah.
Do you think that perhaps the attitude, it seems to me like you were just, you're saying that you're grateful to be there, you're knackered, potentially you weren't maybe so caught up in the hype of the event. Do you think that all kind of played in your hand a little bit as well? Like you didn't understand it, well, maybe at the time as much? Like
Oh,
that?
yeah, 100%. I think I played well during the whole summer and done well in some of their big events, so I knew I could compete with them. But at the same time, at that point of the trip, I was so gassed out from playing so much and being away. First, like real big trip by myself for 2.5 months, traveling
Yeah.
with a couple of boys who were a little bit older than me, but I was still only 19.
Yeah, it's young.
So we survived that. 2 months by yourself over there is pretty good to survive.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then just like you said, just won the first match. I think every match went to 17 or 18
No way.
for me. So played all the holes, and yeah, just kept getting it done day after day. And then probably not until the semis was probably the first time I really got like super nervous or super kind of, or I guess more kind of keyed in on what was happening. Knowing one more round or one more match win, and you're in the Masters and
Exactly. So I was about to
all
ask
that
you.
kind of stuff. That
Wild.
was the semi-final was probably the more nerve-wracking one out of all of them. And the final was just when I got to the final. I mean, it didn't really bother me. Win or lose, I was like, I've done pretty well. But the competitive part of me, once that day came around, the 36 holes first tee, I was ready to get out there and try and get the win. But I didn't put a lot of pressure on myself to do it, so I think
Who'd
that really helped.
Did Did you beat anyone of notable that people would know throughout those first rounds? And who did you play in the final?
Um,
I'm not saying they weren't notable. It's like they weren't good players.
yeah, it's hard to say.
You can't remember.
No, it's hard. I know David O, who played, he had a pretty good career in Japan, but he wouldn't be that well known.
Yeah, okay.
He played well in Asia and Japan. Casey Wittenberg, who I beat in the final, was the number one ranked amateur at the time.
Wow.
So he was the one that was expected to win for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, as far as the names that played in it, it was that era was the Snedekers, the JB Holmes. I think JB Holmes won the stroke play.
Wow.
Trip Keeney's, guys like that who probably are a little bit older. There would have been a few others there, but yeah. I'd have to go run through the list.
JB Holmes just smashes it. Snedeker puts
Yes.
it tops off it. Hey, so unbelievable scenes, right? So you've got the win. What's it like after you won? So you're 19. You're traveling around. Like you could safely say you're a kid, right? You're traveling around the States. You've just finished off a trip, and you've just won the US Open and got a ticket to the Masters. Mm-hmm. What was it like after you won? Was it obviously a few media commitments and things like this? Was there
Yeah, it was a bit hectic.
a lot to take
To say
in?
the least. Yeah, I'd done well in Australia. I wouldn't say I had an awesome amateur career or junior career. I was pretty good in my state. I won the state champs and stuff like that. And then on the national scene, I'd almost won the Australian junior and had played well in some of the senior amateur events, but I wouldn't say considered one of the top two or three.
Yeah.
And then I guess once that happened, obviously you're put in the spotlight and
Big
a lot
time.
of things get talked about pretty quick. And I'd gone from pretty much taking up the game in 97 or 96, 97 to winning the AM 6.5 years later.
Unbelievable.
And just on this huge trajectory. And yeah, it was pretty full on for me at the time. But yeah, home on the plane back, ushered straight into a hotel room when I got back into Sydney, a few interviews with the press. And then one of the favourite things I got to do was go on the panel. Remember that show, The Panel?
Oh, perhaps.
And Glenn Robbins.
Oh,
It was just a talk show,
yeah,
kind of late night talk show.
Yeah, of course.
And,
Yeah.
I used to watch it all the time, and I got.
Yeah.
They asked me to go on that. Went on that. Made a fool of myself because I was a 19-year-old with my hat
19.
backwards and not smiling and looking pretty drum. But I think I was pretty tired, and I also was a pretty quiet kid, so
Yeah.
probably didn't come across that great then. But it was I had a lot more fun than I looked like I was having.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was cool. It was
you
a
can have
trip.
that serious look. You have that serious look when you're just a little bit. Like
Oh, it
sometimes
was a
my
deer in
wife
the
will ask me, she's like,
headlights.
"You okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm all right. What's wrong?"
Yeah, yeah, just full deer in the headlights.
Mate, unbelievable. Now,
Mm-hmm.
would it be safe to say that when you get on a heater, you get on a heater? Like when it comes to your golf game? Like you felt,
Yeah,
I'm not going to say you're a streaky golfer, but when you get going, you get
no,
going.
I am. No, you're
You are a streaky.
100%. Yeah,
Well, I just
yeah,
look
no,
at
I'm
your
streaky.
career. I look at your career and I look at the dates when things have happened, and it's just like,
Mm-hmm.
bang, like to win, to win a USM, to go through that way that you did and win all those matches, you've got to be on some form of a heater. You know, like you've got a game every day essentially to beat all those
Yeah.
guys, right? You can't be. It's not like a tournament round where you're going, 64, 73, 68, 68. Like you're gone.
Mm-hmm.
That second round, you're gone. So yeah, that's unbelievable. So then you play the Masters in 2004.
2004. Yeah, and to your point about the streaky part, like
Yes.
I was very proud of the fact that when I did get in contention, I usually closed out or I was somewhere there. But if I wasn't confident in my game, I was one of those people that really, really relied on confidence. If I was confident, I was fine. If I wasn't doing that well and I wasn't, that comfortable, then I could get it around, but I'd finish 50th and 40th. But
Okay.
yeah, when it comes down to it, I think that's probably one of the things we'll talk about later. But when you're in the heat of the battle, I feel like when I get less away from thinking about hitting it perfect or hitting the perfect shot, and I'm thinking about, okay, get it from A to B as quick as you can in as
Yeah.
little shots as you can,
Yeah.
then that's when I really excelled. So, but yes, streaky for sure. But yeah, I was just lacking confidence or full of confidence. It was one or the other with me.
Well, can you share with us then, like, because people obviously want to hear about that, right? And confidence, like you hear it all the time. Like I heard Adam O'Brien talk about today when he got sacked from the Newcastle job, right? About the players just need some confidence.
Yeah.
He didn't feel like he could give it to them. How did you judge a time when you were confident, if you could, versus not confident? Was it a feeling, or was it based on a result, or was it based upon hit a couple of bad shots and the confidence went out the window, or were you very emotionally attached to the shots that drew the confidence up or down? Like, what can you put your finger on to when you're confident, when you're not confident?
I think it's a bit of all those things you're talking about. Obviously, attaching too much emotion to when it doesn't feel great.
Yeah.
I've worked with a few different sports psych, and one who really helped me out, especially later in my career, was with taking a lot of the pressure off yourself. And there was one good quote for I think it was an LPGA Tour player, but I remember seeing it online, and she said, "You've got to practice like it's the most important thing in the world, and you've got to play like you don't
Yeah.
care." Essentially.
Yeah.
And I remember him saying to me once, leading into an event it might have been 2019 or 18, the Vic Open, and I'd come off a bit of an injury, and I'd been practicing quite a lot leading up to it, and I was getting nervous because it was the first event back, wanted to play well, and he's like, "Have you done the work?" And I said, "Yeah, done the work, but I'm like anxious about getting out there." And he's like, "Well, you need to get on that first team, be okay with shooting 84 or 64, either or.
Yeah.
If you go out there and just do the process and all the stuff that you've been working on, and you don't attach any emotion to playing well or not playing well, or obviously, shooting a ton, and you'll be fine." And I went out and shot 10 under, and I'm like, okay, well, that's one of them. So when you don't put pressure on yourself, you can free swing it, and it's harder to do than it sounds, for sure.
Oh, 100%.
But yeah, all my 2007, I think a lot of that stemmed from 2006, where I got inside the top 20, which I think it was at the time, to get your card with about 10 events left.
Yeah.
And then I just played the last 10 events in a row. I think it was like 9 events in 10 weeks or something like that. And I just kept chasing it, and I wasn't playing well. And I'm just chasing. I've got to make it. I've got to make it every week. More pressure on myself. Ended up finishing 32nd.
Yeah.
And then the next year, I was still playing well. I think once I got that first win under my belt, all of a sudden the pressure kind of went away. And then for the rest of the year, I just played like it doesn't matter, essentially.
Yeah. So I'm going to talk to you about that 2007 season definitely in a sec. But that confidence thing you talk about there, right? And I love what you said there about, a saying I've used before is try your hardest, not care about the result. But I think what happens with us golfers, right, is we get so emotionally connected to a shot. So like we play the first hole, like for instance, for me, I don't play a whole lot, like play a couple of times a year. And I get that first one on the green. I go, oh, thank God I got my golf swing today. Right.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but I'm attaching myself to that one shot. What happens if I didn't hit a good shot then? All of a sudden, I haven't got my golf swing today. Far out. Golf, I'm gone. So it's about, being okay with, like go follow a player around a 4-round event, PGA Championship first round, and all of a sudden he gets one a bit heely off the first hole and hits it to the right, looks at me. Like, don't worry about it. Like, don't look for the answers. Like, if you're relying on that to determine how you're going to play well today, it's very risky business, isn't it? So it's like being okay with it, being okay with it not being okay.
Exactly, being okay with being uncomfortable. That was one of the big things that got drummed into me. It's like, even if you're uncomfortable and your swing feels bad, like if you start thinking about your swing, then you are going to go down that spiral and end up, every time you don't hit the perfect shot, you're going to think you've hit the worst shot in the world, even if it's still okay.
Yeah.
And a lot of the times that would happen to me on the range. I'd judge how I was going to do that day by the first 5 shots I hit, and if it didn't feel good, I'd be like all rattled. But the thing later in my career that I learned is that, I can still shoot good scores feeling super uncomfortable if I stick to the process and think about targets, shot shape. What am I doing here? Not how am I going to hit a draw here? How am I going to hit it high? How am I going to hit it low? It's just literally, okay, this is the ball flight I want. Brain sends a signal to my body that's trained that for the last 15 years.
Yeah, fascinating.
Swing happens.
Yeah.
That's why we practice. So we don't have to think about that stuff on the course. And
it's one thing I'd like to really I wish every amateur golfer knew, that professional golfers and elite, great golfers like you go through the same head noise as what they do.
Oh yeah.
It doesn't change. Doesn't change.
No, it does not change.
All you got to do is just look at the shot pattern and the dispersion at the 17th at Sawgrass, right? And just see that from that same yardage, how much wider it is, right? Because the environment is just, it's the same. It's the same stuff. It just, it fascinates me to hear even like you talk about that, right? But tell me, I want to know about the Masters. Like before we get into 2007, my friend, when my friend Dominic went there with Lucas for the first time, I was like, just on the phone, like, Dom, tell me everything. Right? What was that experience like? Did you take your coach over? Like, how did it all go for you?
Yeah, I mean, again, I was really young, and I was really like, the thing that got me into golf was watching Tiger win the Masters in '97. So I feel like I watched that tape a billion times. To be finally there, again, it was just one of those moments where it's like, I can't believe I'm here 6 years after watching it.
Yeah.
And, I had a good crew around me with my coach at the time, Steve Bann. He'd been working with, Stuart and Robert, Allenby and Appleby for quite a while. And I'd spent quite a lot of time with them in Florida at Stuart's house. So that was a huge help, being able to kind of be around a guy like Stuart, who was at the time top 20 player in the world.
Yes, amazing.
Had played quite a few. I got to meet Tiger on the range there in Florida a couple of weeks before the Masters for the first time, which was, wow. I can still remember walking over to him with Steve and Stuart. That's when we organised the practice round. We got to play together at the Masters on the Monday. But it was, it's hard to describe when you're there. Like, I tried to do it the best way I could as far as staying in the crow's nest and all those things you get that come along with the amateur win. And I enjoyed it. I played really good, putted like I had 3 left hands. It was bad. I could not make a putt, but hit the ball unbelievable. So that part was very enjoyable.
Yeah.
But it was just a crazy week. Week.
I haven't researched this. You made the cut or don't make the cut?
No, missed the cut by a few shots.
I wouldn't expect you to. Unbelievable week. Tell me, how hard is it to putt in the greens at Augusta during Masters week?
It's very hard if it's your first time and you're 19, because I was like, I couldn't feel the putter for probably the first 5 or 6 holes. Like I was still shaky. I could get away with full swings because you could move it. He had a lot of time to get back to the ball, but
Yeah.
I know I had a putt on the second. I can remember I hit it down short of the green and chipped it up pretty close, probably 2.5 feet above the hole,
Yep.
and I from memory, it felt like I almost missed it. I was shaking that much, like missed the actual ball,
I was going to say that.
made contact and missed the putt,
Oh,
missed
no.
the next one. I think made bogey. But yeah, it just took a while to calm down, and then from there it was kind of in my head that I wasn't putting well, and I've always been a good putter. I've never been a bad putter.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was something to get used to
Well, they
for
talk.
sure.
It's the first thing people will tell you. I've never been to Augusta, but they tell you the undulations in the place, right, and
Yeah.
the difficult challenges it is there to putt. Who'd you play with the first two rounds?
I played with Justin Leonard and Mike Weir.
Oh,
So
wow.
Mike Weir won the year previous.
Wow.
Yeah,
Is
and
that-
Mike Weir was still to this day probably the purest putter I've played with. As far as that those 2 days, he didn't. And saying that, he didn't make a lot of putts, but every single putt looked like it was going to go in, and every putt looked like it was glued to the surface.
Oh, fascinating.
It
Jeez,
was
that's
pretty impressive.
That's two incredible players. You know? I can't believe.
Yeah, well,
Does that happen every year?
Tiger was in the group behind me.
No wonder you couldn't feel the putter. You're like, Tiger, come up, mate. You can hit.
Yeah.
You can
Well,
hit.
as you would know, like if you like when you watch back in the day Tiger playing, usually the group in front of him cops all the
That's
people
true.
running forward to try and get a viewpoint for the next hole because
Yeah.
it's 10 deep. So we were dealing with a lot of that, which again didn't bother me. Like I was just happy to be there, and it was
Yeah.
cool watching all these people running around like lunatics trying to see the guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was. I remember looking back. We had a rain delay the first round, and I was on the 13th green, and I looked back down the fairway, kind of around the corner as they hit their tee shots, and we're on the green, and just seeing 20 deep on the right hand side of that fairway, and the sun kind of shining through the pines. It was still an image that will never leave me. Just how many people in that little section there was watching this guy play.
Crazy. And then just teeing off in front of him is just little old Aussie Nick Flanagan used to shag balls
Yes.
into a 9-iron into a little hill at the left-hand side of Belmont driving range. But that's
100%.
But I've heard some great things about Mike Weir too. I hear he's just a great dude.
Oh, he's a really nice guy. Really nice
Great
guy.
guy, lefty too, right?
Yeah.
But is that what they did every year? Does the US Amateur play with the previous year's winner? Is that what?
Yeah.
Oh wow, that is
Yeah, still do it.
God. That is unbelievable. That is so nice to the US.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot to throw it. I mean, maybe not so much now. Like the kids that are winning the US Amateur now
Yeah.
are like seasoned veterans because they're either in the college system or they're in the high school
Yeah.
system. In the US, it's a whole different ball game. But
Like
for
a
me,
Bryson
it was like,
DeChambeau or something like that, or
yeah. For me, it was extremely intimidating.
yeah. And it's all about just enjoying the experience, I'm sure, while you're there, right?
Yeah, which is what I tried to do mostly.
Unbelievable. So, with the US Amateur win, did you get any exemptions anywhere else apart from the Masters?
Yeah, so I played the US Open and British Opens that year.
Oh wow,
Yeah, so you get the three majors.
wow.
I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure it's still the same now. And then I turned pro the week after the British Open.
Wow. Gee, that's a whole
Yeah.
nother podcast to dive into those. All right.
Yeah.
Let's get into okay, so you touch base for people listening, right? The 2007 season. For everyone, listening in, obviously I knew this and it was called the Nationwide back then. I think it was called the Nationwide, wasn't it? Back then when you won it?
Yeah, nationwide back
And
then.
if you won 3 events, you got automatic qualification to the PGA Tour, and it was massive news. Nick Flanagan did it. You did it yourself, and you did it pretty early too, if I remember. Here are your dates. So you said 2006. You came off that season, and you were a bit frustrated because you kind of went down and finished at 32. Like maybe you're wanting it a little bit too much. What was the difference in 2007? Like a mindset change, or what happened then?
I
gone
think I was in a pretty good spot on and off the golf course. I was in '06 as well. I think on the golf course I wasn't in as good a spot because it felt easy the first couple of months, and then I think I started focusing a little bit more on the destination rather than kind of what was in front of me. Yeah, and then obviously just put way too much pressure on myself and played too much golf, didn't take the time off. And I worked really hard on my scheduling the following year since I'd played, I'd seen the courses, I'd played the courses, I looked at which courses I knew that probably suited me more. And I would also sacrifice a tournament if it didn't work as far as being able to have like a 2 week break because I was still living in Australia at the time. So I was back and forth.
Oh, really?
I would sometimes if I just had a week off, I would stay in the US with some friends or something that I'd met. But I really tried hard to come back to Australia for 2 weeks and take like 10 days of just no golf and then essentially catch up with my coach if I could, play a few rounds, hit a few balls 3 or 4 days before, and then head back.
Wow.
So I kind of just ramped down that part of my game, like the technical part. Really only practiced in front of my coach
Yeah.
so that I could get good feedback and then go and play leading up to it.
Wow.
Because I would find that if I did start banging too many balls, that I'd be trying to find something that wasn't there or, I'd be on the range for 3 or 4 days straight and I'd be like hitting it good and then all of a sudden I'd hit it bad and then I'd start searching for something and da-da-da-da. Whereas if, Vanny was there, he'd be like, do this. Okay, 9-shot drill. No, I'm not hitting my driver that well. I feel like I'm doing this. He's like, all right, I want you to hit 3 draws in a row, 3 fades in a row, 3 high ones, 3 low ones.
Yep.
And then I'll kind of explain what's happening with that, where you need to kind of just get a little bit better, whether it's set up or whatever it is. And then I'd get to the next event and I was totally thoughtless on technique and more about just going out and playing. So I think that was one of the big things for me moving forward in 2007. My scheduling was better. I would have that time away from golf and enjoy it and then kind of just get set up 3 or 4 days before I left to go to the next few events.
So you won your 3 events. So you got your third one done in August. Mm-hmm. Like you said, each time you were in contention, did you win? Were you in contention other times or?
I'm trying to think about that season. I think I was, probably had a couple of top 20s and was playing solid. Like I wasn't missing a lot of cuts early from what I can remember. Mm-hmm. That's funny. I've never even thought about that.
Yeah.
Never even thought about that.
That's all right. So when you... go on.
No, sorry. Yeah, no, I just... but definitely when I was in contention, I think I had... The first one, the first win, I think I was there for most of it during the week. The second one, I had a crazy back 9. And the third one, very similar. Had a crazy finish. Just had really good last rounds to kind of pip a few guys coming in. But I was playing solid and I wasn't, I was comfortable not thinking about my golf swing and thinking about, just getting it in the hole in as little strokes as I could.
Unreal. So when you win the third one in August and you get automatic exemption, do you go straight to the PGA Tour like that next event? Are you in?
You can, yeah, you can. That year was the first year the FedEx Cup came in.
Okay. Yeah.
So I won 2 or 3 weeks before that started, or maybe the week before that started. So I obviously couldn't play those FedEx Cup events. So there was like a 5-week stretch where I couldn't play.
Yeah.
On tour. So I played one more nationwide tour, I think maybe the week after I won or something, because I still had to be over there. And then I came back to Australia for 2 or 3 weeks, I think. And then went back over and played the 4 fall finishes that they had then. There was only 4 events after that.
Like the Disney and stuff like that, or whatever it was called. Like
there's the Disney. I think I played like the Turning Stone, and then I played Mississippi, and then there was a San Antonio event actually, which I remember, and then one more I can't remember. But the first 2 events that I got, I finished top 20 in the first 2, and I'm like, what's going on? I made almost as much money in those 2 events as I did in the whole season.
Yeah, I know. Don't get me started on that shit. I was talking to my wife about it the other day. I was like, it was I was watching the end of the FedEx Cup and watching Tommy Fleetwood win. Good one to first win, right? And
that's the one to do it.
And there was Cantlay he had a putt, I think, on the last to get out of a tie for second or third or something like that. I don't know. It might not have been Canley. It might have been the group ahead. I said to my wife, well, that's about a $2 million putt. You know, just like, because at the top, you know, sometimes you'll see them miss putts for a few $100,000 or whatever.
Yeah.
But it was to get out of a tie for third or second. I thought, man, that's a very, and she's like, what? And I was, you know, I don't know. This is very broad, but I feel that the PGA Tour players wouldn't care if $5 million got taken out of the prize pool for the whole entire year. We would barely notice it and just given to a lower tour. You know what I mean? Like, it's not even...
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's a tough one. I don't think those guys, like those Cantlays, those guys that have been out there for a long time now that have made, you know, copious amounts of money, I don't think... I would imagine they're not even thinking about this putt's worth an extra $2 million. I would think that. Some of them probably do. I guess everyone's got a different personality. But, you know, obviously Scotty Scheffler ain't worried about $2 million. But, it's... at some point they're just playing golf. When you've got that much money and for them to still be competing at the, you know, the level they're at, like Scotty has no business still competing the way he is with the amount of money he's got in the bank. He does not care about money.
Yeah. Yes.
So he could be making 100,000 or 100 million, and I think he'd still play the same.
Yes. Well, he seems like that, but you know, and we see all these tours, and you know, we're obviously all associated with people playing on mini tours, and you know, struggling to make a buck, and you know, paying for hotel rooms for some of the pros that are going to play mini tour events, trying to help them. I always say that joke that PGA Tour players are carpooling in their private jets, and the Web.com Tour players are carpooling in Winnebagos. You know, like it's just
it's a huge difference. Like the purses on, you know, from the Nationwide when I played in 06 to when we played in, you know, even up until the last couple of years, they only really just went up in the last 3 or 4 years to $1 million in an event. But they were still playing for similar prize money to when I was playing back in the mid 2000s.
Yeah,
like it wasn't going up, but expenses were going up. The tour was going way up.
Yep.
So yeah, at least now you can kind of make more of a living out there. But nobody wants to be out there for 5 years on the Nationwide. And I think that was one of the reasons they did it the way they did, was because they don't want guys to be comfortable on the second tier. They want, you know, you're either going to get up to the next tier or you're gone, essentially.
Wow. Interesting. Yeah. And
because there was a lot of guys in their 40s, late 30s, still playing that tour, going back and forth when I was there. And now you don't see that as much.
Interesting.
Yeah, I feel like it's a lot younger, and the factory's kind of rolling them over and churning them through.
That's interesting insight. Yeah, it's interesting.
Whether that's a good thing or not, don't know.
It's a little bit sad, you know. It's a little bit sad, for instance, like, you know, you look at the, you know, all different types of leagues. Just because you're not in the top 120, you should still, you know, the golfers from the 200th to the 400th still should be able to have somewhere to play. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they should still have a job to play for some reasonable money. It shouldn't be taken away from them just for a young fella to come in. You know, like there's enough money around for, you know, a 45-year-old guy to have a great career on a secondary tour somewhere. It should be.
Yeah, I think to a certain degree, for sure. There is a lot more playing opportunities now worldwide than there probably was. I think Asia's playing for more money.
Yeah.
US is obviously playing for crazy money. There's Live, which is crazy money. Europe's, you know, still good money. There's
it's getting better.
400 or 500 players that are probably making a living doing it, and it's, you know, to make a living out of sport, you've got to be in most sports in the top. You know, what would you say, top 100 in your field to really make a good living out of it? Yeah,
I think it's a whole lot of, well, you know, in Australia we've got 16 or 17 NRL teams with top 30 squads.
Yeah.
So there's some people making some decent coin. I think average salary is like 400 USD. Sorry, 400 AUD. And
is it?
Yeah, it's pretty high now. Yeah, average salary.
That's changed a lot from 17 years ago.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I've seen. Okay. I could be wrong. Be corrected. Someone get me in the comments. But
Yeah.
Pretty good. I look at the soccer. There's soccer. There's leagues everywhere around the world. So,
Yep.
anyways,
Yep.
I just think this. I just think I want more golfers making more money. I want more opportunities. I want as much money people out there.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
I would love to have made more money. Like the Australian Tour is what it is. I think the Australian Tour is getting better and better every year. There's better players every year. They've got more events every year. I think the playing opportunities are better.
yeah,
Everybody wants more money, but we're a small country that's a long way from anywhere, so it's hard to, pump money into purses. I think Tour's done a great job over the past few years, getting more playing opportunities for guys to develop so that when they get to a certain point, they can go to Asia or they can go to Europe or they can go to the US.
yep,
I think that's what people need to focus on a little bit more, especially with our tour. Is sure we've only got a couple of events that are $1 million, but now there's 22 or 23 events on the main tour schedule.
yeah,
If you can kind of do enough networking to get some sponsorship to be able to pay, or help you out a little bit with your travel and expenses, then you can get a full schedule in like you would on any of those major tours and be ready to go when you go to Q school and get your card.
yeah. I agree. That's getting better in Australia, but still a tough battle. Actually, I've got to check the scores in Northern Territory. I haven't had a look yet, but and the good thing is I feel about it, and I spoke to Harrison Endicott about this, and I'd like to hear your take on it, but about putting a season together. In Australia, it's always been a difficult challenge because you're not playing that event after event after event. And he spoke about going to PGA, in Canada, playing a full season and just learning how to actually play a season and put a season together. And, in Australia, it's like when the guys here playing in their events and then they get their two starts, their Aussie PGA and the Aussie Open. It's like their Masters, right? It's so much goddamn pressure going into that tournament. It's just so much pressure to perform well, because if you don't perform well in that, then your whole season's I shouldn't say a write-off, but if you're wanting to get up the rankings and anyways, what do you think about that?
I still think I think the tour is doing the right thing now. Is it is better than it used to be because there is more events. There's more back-to-backs. There's there's less space between events now on the season. It's more points based now, so you can't just show up and play well in those two big events and climb up the leaderboard.
Yeah.
So you're getting rewarded for consistency, and you have to be consistent on a whatever it is 20 tournament schedule, 22 tournament schedule.
Yeah.
And I think you'll see over the next, 5 or 6 years, you'll see a lot of these guys that are doing well on our order of merit continue to play well because they've got that full year kind of tour schedule that they wouldn't have had before, where they play 8 events here and they're 4 weeks apart. And then you've got the 2 big ones back to back where all the big guys come in and kind of take most of the money away, and everyone gets like a little bit dejected that they didn't make a big check. I just feel like the more reps you put in when you get into those big events, it just feels like another event a little bit more.
Yeah. Because got to learn to get comfy in it, right? But
yeah, exactly.
A lot of the states are doing better now, like Northern Territory Opens, and obviously the Big Vic Opens, obviously quite good, and New South Wales Opens. They're all getting better at it. All right, let's finish off playing. Tell me, okay, when you transitioned into coaching, that was during COVID. You're telling me before we got on air here, you're telling me that you got approached by a buddy of yours at a driving range or something. Tell me about that transition.
Yeah. So COVID hit. We just had. I just finished New Zealand Open. I just finished 3rd at the New Zealand Open, probably like 2 weeks before COVID exploded. So I just got back. We just had our first child. I pretty much spent the first 6 or 8 weeks at home, not leaving the house much. Texas wasn't too bad. Like, it wasn't as crazy lockdown as a lot of places, especially back here in Oz. So we played golf a bunch, and I couldn't play tournaments and couldn't do this. So, like a friend of mine who I took a group of guys up to Oakmont every year, friends from the golf club we were members at. He owned a driving range, and he said if you wanted to coach, if you wanted to give that a go for something to do, essentially, then come down. He's got a couple of kids that were in high school that kind of were looking for somebody to give him some tips. And, been lucky enough to spend quite a lot of time with really good coaches over the years. Sean Foley, Steve Bann, Lynchy, like all the Australian guys. So I had a fair bit of knowledge, but as far as that knowledge has always been given to me, it wasn't me giving other people the knowledge.
Yeah.
So, it was kind of a cool little experiment for me to see how it went. And it was, it's pretty intimidating, even with, a teenage kid who, I show up and they think it's, oh, this guy's a coach. And I wasn't really a coach. Learning the ropes of how to, communicate things, communicate my ideas to them in like an easy way was definitely a bit of a learning curve. So the first few months, I really enjoyed it. And felt like I got the hang of it pretty quick. And then all of a sudden, COVID didn't really go away. And then I had an injury with my elbow, which stopped me from playing. So for lack of other ideas, I kept doing it. And then I ended up, getting to a point where I was doing 20, 25 lessons a week in San Antonio, which wasn't tons, but it was enough.
Yeah.
It's going to keep me busy. And so about 2023, we kind of discussed maybe coming back here if the opportunity arose as far as getting a job back here and getting into coaching, and where that's going to lead me, I'm not sure. I would like to get more into the elite field of, through the golf industry here and get involved with the kids and give them some of my kind of knowledge and experience from what I'd done over my career, because I feel like I did a lot of the right things, but I also did a lot of the wrong things. So I think some of the wrong things is something that I can teach them a little bit more about than some of the right things, things not to do.
So has the type of coach you wanted to be since you started coaching? Because I can share from when I started. It's interesting. You sometimes you can think you know it all and you got it all, and then you keep continuing to learn. I'm always studying and always learning more.
Yeah.
Has the type of coach that you wanted to be, have you evolved and have you changed your thinking on how you wanted to coach, or has it kind of stayed the same?
I think I've found, especially in the last kind of year and a half, I've really found the groove of, my preferences. I don't think you can coach, any one person to the next exactly the same. I think I have my preferences and I kind of work around them.
Yeah.
And I think it took me a little while to find that. I would take something from here or something from there, and there's so much stuff online, and well, that's a good one, that could be good for so and so. That a lot of learning on your feet, kind of flying by the seat of your pants as far as kind of getting to learn the golf swing from an amateur perspective, where I've always kind of looked at it from a pro perspective. So I've definitely noticed as I've taught more, I can see certain patterns that happen a lot, which, as you would know.
Yeah.
And I think I've got a pretty good handle on how I can, I guess, provide the right tools for those people to be able to get a concept for making it better, essentially.
Okay.
Without overcomplicating it. And, it's cliche, keep it simple, but it's cliche for a reason. And I think it's just how you communicate it, depending on who is in front of you.
Yeah. And for people listening, that when Nick, talks about preferences there, and I can, share on it as well, is that I think what's really important is that when you become a coach is that you coach what you know, right? And so for instance, that when you see a problem, you could have even, 6 of, we all know some top coaches, right? 6 top coaches come here, look at the same problem and think about solving it a different way. And, but what their idea of the outcome of how it should look would all be very, very similar. There might be some certain preferences in ball flight, one launched a bit higher or whatnot, but it'd be very, very similar. So I think what's important is that, you have your preferences. And I was talking to a coach about this the other day in my mentor program about how he does a lot of work from P6 onward, a bit of stack and tilt work, and helping with some impact with some of his, beginner type of clients. And he said, I'm always leaning back to that for this type of exercise. Is that okay? And I said, yeah, of course it's okay, because you're doing what you know that works. Do you know what I mean? It's not, some reason we can kind of log online, see Genkus doing some stuff, and it looks cool, looks funky, but if you don't know it, you can't teach it, right?
No.
So that's kind of cool that you talk about that with your preferences, because no doubt everyone has their preferences, right? Like, you've hung out with a lot of top coaches in your time, and now you're probably looking back and thinking about, you can probably start to see their preferences a lot more looking at it from a coach's perspective.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, definitely. I mean, I was decent friends with George, and I went over to his range and hung out with him a little bit. And
Yeah, cool.
awesome human, like a lot of fun.
Seems like high energy.
High energy,
Yeah.
super high energy. And yeah, he's obviously a bit of a savant. Like, he's just a really smart guy.
Yeah.
And if you can wrap your head around what he's, talking about, great. He can do some really good work. And then you look at a guy like Banny, who was, I would say, you look at the guys that he taught, like your Allenbys and your Applebys, KJ Choi, all very hard workers. Very much about, delivery position, segmenting the golf swing into certain parts and then putting it together. He was very much about, practicing properly, making sure you do your technique work and then throwing that out the window and doing your ball flight work. A lot of target practice, playing like, or practicing like you play kind of stuff. Foley was, as complicated as it can sound like he is sometimes, he would even say it, like, I use these tools and I know these numbers, but I try to make sure that I give that to you in a less complicated version.
Yeah.
And, Foley got me out of the chipping yips. I had the heebie-jeebies there for a little while. And I talk about this a lot in my short game lessons, and I feel like my short game now is as good as anyone's. And I went through a stage where I was trying to, use the bounce. Like, I couldn't get the club on the ball. I was flubbing him. I was trying one hand him. And he put me into the grain in Florida off this tight into the grain stuff. And he just had me ball off my back foot, just lifting the club up and just stabbing it into the back of the ball.
Wow.
And all of a sudden, I'm like, oh, I'm not scared of the ground anymore. I'm taking the club's just stopping. And then I go onto a good lie and I do the same thing and the club just slid through. I don't know, little gems like that, how I thought about it and how it worked for me is going to be different to the next person, but that was something that clicked for me. And then all of a sudden, 6 months later, I'm done. I'm good. Like, never thought about it again.
Got to get that ball. Get that ball first contact right. So like when someone is chipping poorly and they're in a bad place, like, I talk about ball first and ground first contact and chipping. And yes, there is a place for ground first when I hit, high shots. We try to promote more loft. It's, open face, club land for the ball and that. But if someone's really down on confidence, man, there's nothing better than just teaching them like 30, 32 degree launch, 56, whatever it is, back of the thing, ball. And I'll demonstrate to them, look, the ball doesn't even need to see a follow through. Just go bang, bang. Like I can just, the ball does not need a follow through. So yeah, that's some great coaching from Foles. Mate, sounds like he could have started an Instagram account and just kept talking about hitting down on it and sound like he could have become famous.
It seems to be all the rage.
Yeah. Like that's interesting about those preferences, right? And, even the look and styles of some people that we know, like you look at Barter's players and they all got very similar attributes in regard to how they move into the ball, and it's easy to spot one of those from a mile away, right? So, that is cool that you've got those preferences and you're starting to kind of lean on those and starting to kind of find your identity. I like it.
Yeah, and I saw Gary for a long time too. And Gary, he's down in Sydney, not far from here.
Yeah.
And he taught me a ton. Like, there's a lot of stuff, a lot of drills that took me when I was playing. I wasn't thinking about, what is this drill doing for me? But now I kind of understand why he was getting me to do it and what it creates. And I'm able to use that in my teaching now as well. So I'd credit Gary for quite a lot of the stuff that I'm using. Now that I understand it, it makes a lot more sense.
Yeah. And oh man, you have hung out with some great stuff. Anyone who's getting a lesson from you is very fortunate for sure. So when it comes to now, obviously you've hung out with lots of different types of styles like that, and then trying to find out what you kind of want to settle on and finish on. In your coaching, do you have do you use an app where you hand out a lot of drills? Are you handing out a lot of drills to people, or exercises, or videos that are pre-recorded on your like coaching app at all? Or
No, not necessarily. It depends on the person in front of you. Like some people just want, I feel like a lot of people, they want the quick fix, which we know isn't a thing.
yeah,
But your regular punter isn't going to put the work in.
yeah,
You're going to see somebody in front of you. Okay, this person is going to put the work in. I can give them these three things, and I know they're going to do it. And next time I see them, I know it's going to look different.
yeah,
And then other people are like, okay, I'll give it a go for a while and see how it goes. If it doesn't work straight away, then they're probably going to look exactly the same the next time.
yeah,
But yeah, I have certain drills that I think work for a lot of people.
yeah,
That are very similar for a lot of my lessons. I think one of the big patterns that I've found is that, which is a weird thing to say, but I feel like rotation is a bad thing for a lot of people
yes,
in certain parts of the swing. Obviously, the backswing, it's quite a key.
yep,
But as you would know, it tends to be that, people think of rotation, okay, I take the club back and then I just start rotating.
yes,
So I feel like I spend a lot of time trying to get people out of rotating and letting the arms. I mean, we're throwing two pretty big levers here that weigh a fair bit and a club.
yeah,
Your body's going to move
absolutely.
if your arms are moving. And the faster they move, the more your body rotates. And the better you are, the kind of harder it is to kind of put the brakes on and slow your body down.
Oh, mate, I agree that people can sometimes look at you a bit funny when you can explain to them that you can over-rotate in the golf swing, back and through, right? And, teaching them about braking mechanisms, and then teaching them about, what's leading the race in regards to some certain things, because when people carry a lot of depth in the backswing through over-rotation as well, it's a lot of work to try and get back.
It's a ton of work.
It's a ton of work. Yeah. So you could look like, you could do Genka stuff, right? And you've got a lot of work to do. Or you could be someone a bit more like Tiger, more up and down in front of the body, right? So, I agree with starting to see that stuff. And when it comes to the rotation, the tilting, and the patterns, I think people, do things probably. It's just the sequencing and the timing of certain aspects that they get wrong. So it's like, yes, I do want your chest to unwind, but when you're getting into P5 left arm level in the downswing, you're a little bit too unwound here with the chest. We need to get that back here, but we can allow the hips to go a little bit more by this stage. Right? But I tell you what really helps with someone who's over rotating a lot, through the golf ball or trying to turn, because they've watched a video on spinning, right? Is ask them, where's impact? What's impact supposed to look like? And they look at you like you've just asked them to start speaking Mandarin. You're like, no, show me what you think impact's supposed to look like. And they'll show you like hips turn to like 50 degrees and the chest around like 30 degrees at the target. I'm going, dude, come back. Here's Tiger. His buttons are looking at the ball with his chest. He's about 10 degrees open chest. Like, let's not over rotate. We don't need to. No wonder your hands are going out here and you're slicing across it. I have a question for you. Do you think that now with the technology, obviously I do a lot of online coaching and mentor people around the world. I had Zoom calls this morning with 3 guys international, or last night was India, and then 3 this morning in America, because it's a great time for them.
Yeah.
Do you think when you were playing out on tour, PGA Tour, Web.com Tour, with the technology they have now with FaceTime and stuff, you wouldn't have had to come back as much, or how would that been better for you? You think?
I was thinking about that the other day. I think for me personally, like I spoke earlier about, when my quality practice came in front of my coach being there. So if I was on the range back in '06 or '05, whatever, it was pre-iPhone still. Like there was no just take a quick video of my swing, I'm going to send it to my coach. It was like get the camcorder out, set it up, take it back to the hotel that night, load it in, send it off. Yeah. And then do the same thing you get the next day. Whereas now, like if I was on tour and I needed, a refresh on something, I could just get my phone there, have the coach watching as I'm doing it, and get feedback that way straight away. I think that would have been a huge help. Yeah. I think the one detriment for some people or a lot of people is, taking videos of their swing and trying to tweak it and make it look really nice. Okay, I've got to hit this plane, I've got to hit this plane, I've got to hit this plane. And then all of a sudden you're videoing, you've got 400 swings on your video and you're critiquing every little thing, rather than keying on, on those really important things, which is, pretty much below the hips at impact and where everything is there.
Yeah.
And not worrying about keeping it on plane, just keep it in the parameter somewhere. But at the end of the day, if the ball feels like it's coming off the face properly, you're probably in a pretty good spot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I love what you said there, but I was thinking about, when you're talking about needing to have that reassurance or that satisfaction from, Banny at the time, that perhaps it might have been, a good strategy for you because of that. But, when you talk about that filming aspect, I was talking to, one of my Indian pros last night, and he was trying to show me P4, and he's like, my left arm's a little low. And I'm like, yeah, it is, but it's not the main issue to worry about. So I said, if we're doing a Golf Digest mag shot right now, I would tweak your left arm a little bit, get a little bit higher there at 4 and get the butt of the club not as deep, but we're not. We're trying to play golf. So it's not our issue right now. We're working on something else through impact. And
I think a lot of the time the people like that would probably be better off sending you the swing and not looking at it themselves, because that way, they're not seeing something that they think looks weird or, try and get things in the perfect spots. They're, focusing on hitting the actual golf shot more.
Mate, I love it. Mate, this has been fascinating. You should start your own podcast, Nick. You've got millions of stories to tell.
Yeah, I've got a few. I'm just going to try and get on everybody else's podcast to start.
But I was just thinking, all those coaches you've hung out with, you've got so much stuff that I want to listen to. Like so many cool stories. I'm sure you.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool. I've had a pretty crazy career. I've done a bunch of different stuff. I've been at the highest level. I've been kind of in the doldrums as well. I've gone through all of it, which I think's one really good thing that I look back now and I'm proud of, is getting through all that. But it's, you can hear from people who have always been going up and they're at the top and stuff like that. But I think hearing from, especially a lot of there's guys my age who have been playing on the Aussie tour and playing Europe a little bit and Asia a little bit and back on the Aussie tour. It's not all roses, that's for sure. There's huge ups and downs, and it can be a lonely place sometimes doing this as a living. As much as we watch the PGA Tour and see all those guys, making millions and whatnot, and good for them. They've put the work in, they've done it.
Yeah.
But, for the majority of guys that are trying to do this for a living, it's hard yakka, and it is mentally straining.
I know. It's
for sure.
And that's stories that definitely need to be told, because even Harrison said it to me when he went on, he was on the Netflix show, and he's like, they need to be talking more about people in the bubble. I wanted to talk to you about that pressure of being on the Nationwide and trying to get that top 20 card, or 25, whatever it was. That pressure, that's real pressure. You know what I mean? Real pressure, that's pressure. Like you said, Cantlay trying to hold that putt in the last hole for $1 million. That's not pressure.
No.
It's not pressure at all. It's the guy down trying to make some money to pay for the taxi to go next week to play the next event. That's pressure.
Yeah.
And
you watch and that's where you watch things like Rory this year winning. There was so much riding on that. There was so much pressure on him to win the Masters, even though he's got all the money in the world and he's been one of the best players and will be one of the best players ever.
Yeah.
That was much more fun to watch because of how much pressure was on him. And everybody could feel the pressure. It wasn't just him feeling it. Everyone watching knew how much pressure was on him.
Oh, mate.
Sometimes you watch golf and it doesn't look like they've got that much pressure on them because it's
mate,
it's another event for $8 million.
I'm so glad you brought that up, because I said to my wife at the time, I think that's who I talk to the most, right, about golf. She's with me all the time, but I was trying to explain to her the enormity of this situation, and that is the most pressure a golfer has been on from a international situation. I'm not talking about a golfer who needs to make some money on the tour to get through, but you would have to think that is the most high pressure situation. I think I was using different words at the time, ever in the history. Don't you think so? To win an event.
I would think for sure for somebody who was already established and as good as he was,
Yeah.
or is, I should say.
And just
Yeah, for somebody to have that much pressure on them to win,
yeah,
that has already won 5 or 6 majors, whatever it was, like
Yeah.
that's pretty much unheard of.
yeah. I just really believe it was, and he was carrying it too. And
Oh yeah, he was carrying it.
because I'm sure as you know, those chances don't come around every year, right? Like
No,
each year,
and especially
yeah.
just like the Tommy Fleetwood thing, like
Just thinking that.
every year he gets to every year he got to the Masters, he's like, it's going to be it. That's probably the only event every year that he went to that he felt
Yeah.
like that. And then
Yeah.
that one year goes by, the next year goes by. Okay, now I'm 35.
Yeah.
Now I'm 36. Now I'm 36. Like,
Yeah,
then for Justin Rose as well, like, will
yeah,
he get another chance at that? He's obviously still very good, and he's
yeah.
definitely good enough. But that it would have been tough for him to see that lose, or to lose that. But yeah, it was meant to be for Rory this year.
Because I think about. Do you follow rugby league?
I don't as much
anyways,
as I would like to.
Canberra just played Penrith, right, for international listeners. I'm sorry, and they're a team that's come from nowhere. They were predicted to come last this year, and they're about to win the minor premiership, right? Well, some people predict them to come last, and they just played against Penrith last week and won in the most fascinating finish in the history of NRL. But going into that event, if they just were going into that match, if they just competed, it would have been okay for the finals. But if they got bashed up, then it would have been a write-off for the rest of the year. They can't beat the big teams. They can't win, rah, rah, rah. You know, and they did quite well. They ended up winning. And then thinking about Rory, if he'd lost that one, or Tommy Fleetwood, if he lost again the other day in the FedEx, like, it just must be harder to keep coming back up. Like, Tommy's had a couple of chances this year, and everyone's like, is he going to get that first win on the PGA Tour? Like, I was posting about it on social media. Like, to keep coming back up from that would be so hard. Like, Rory, coming back from those losses, so hard.
Yeah, it's a different kind of pressure for those guys because of where they're at career-wise. It's more of a pressure they put on themselves. It's more of a pressure that the press puts on them, like the media puts on them. So they're seeing that all the time. And obviously with, the internet age that we're in and social media, you can't really get away from it. So you're hearing it all the time. And then you go out and you're like, oh, gosh, I hope I don't lose this again.
Yeah.
Whether they're thinking that or not. But I'm sure Rory couldn't wait to get that monkey off his back so that he didn't have to answer the question every year.
Yeah.
And now the same with Tommy to a certain degree.
Well, he spoke about in an interview after someone asked him a question, Rory, about coming back next year, and he spoke about it in light, like it's going to be a lot easier coming back now. So I think next time he drives into Magnolia Lane, it's not going to be
Well,
like.
I think he asked the media, he said, "What are you guys going to ask me next year? You're not going to have any questions for me."
That's right.
Yeah.
yeah, that was cool. Yeah. Oh no, I love that video the other day. It was when he was in the club dancing, and they said, "Oh, where's your green jacket?" He said, "It's on my yacht."
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, fair enough. I love that.
Credit's due.
Yeah, no, fair enough. Hey, Nick, you've been great. It's getting late here, everyone. If you like what you heard with Nick, we can follow him on your social media channels. Links will be all down below. I'll post Nick's stuff there. If you like what you heard from Nick, make sure you jump on and send him a message. I'm sure he'd love to hear from you. And mate, I appreciate you coming on the Golf Coach podcast.
Yeah, mate. Thanks for having me. Hopefully we can catch up again soon.
Yeah, for sure, man. Look forward to it. Thanks, mate.
All right. Take it easy.